What's the first thing you think when you hear My Little Pony? Probably not death and destruction, but I have the HOI4 mod for you. But the thing is that we're gonna be playing as Griffonian Empire. They're like griffins, but not just that. Playing the April Fools for the mod that makes them go all Warhammer 40k. There have been multiple reports of power outages at a city in Yale. As yet, the cause of the outage has been claimed to be Yale University, but the university itself refuses to publicly comment on the cause of the situation and will field no questions levied at them. Moderate concern has been growing amongst citizenry in the local area as ordinary griffs wonder what further disruption may arise from this odd instance. For the time being, however, the majority are continuing on with their daily lives, merely keeping a keen eye out for any weird happenings. Peculiar, but science can be strange. Train trip. Despite his deteriorating health, the Emperor has decided to embark on a trip across Hersland via train in order to showcase the new imperial railway system and, more importantly, to convince the people that his days are not yet over. Reluctantly, after heavily protesting against the trip and arguing that he should stay in bed, the Emperor's doctors let him go. Nobles and commoners alike gathered in Griffinhelm's brand new rail station to witness the Emperor's departure. A shining steam locomotive had been prepared, with a dozen ornate cars attached to it, all built by the finest metalworkers and carpenters money could hire. The trip was supposed to be long and last several weeks, so many that there was enough space and supplies for His Majesty's entire entourage. When Grover the Fifth arrived on his personal automobile later than expected, the nobles raced to welcome him, and showering him with praise about the railway project, and all would now witness the coming modernity to the empire. The emperor nodded wearily, as he always did when receiving empty platitudes of greedy sycophants, and coughed. He slowly walked to the train station, escorted by heavily armored imperial knights, and was next beset by the commoners, who either lauded his project or begged for reforms to give them land and bread instead of expensive trains. When he finally got inside his private railroad car, he asked not to be disturbed and sat down, sighed, and took a nap. The train whistling, signaling that the journey had begun. What's the worst that could happen? Gain 100 political power and intense stability from that. A gift from Skyfall. Today, like any year, we have received a single coin paid personally by the Chancellor of Skyfeld, Grinsland Gerchard. The coin and idol is sent as a replacement and consolidation price for the lost Isle of Boreas. It has been 35 years since the loss of the idol and 28 since Gerchard came up with that joke. He is apparently not tired of it. Mar damn traitor. So we're gonna call this the funny anti-Austrian division. The railroad trip was a rousing success. The Emperor and his escort had first gone from Griffinhelm to Bronskreutz, where the loyal Diamond Dog nobles welcomed him extremely warmly and gave many gifts. He then traveled to Reedwetter, where he spoke with Duchess Gabriella Eagleclaw, his dear cousin and friend. Boom, 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 stupid lore, we don't care. We're trying to go on to Warhammer 40k already. Oh, Bird Mussolini's done things down in, where is it? Wingbarding. Bird Anchovy. Holy shit. Project Christothron. A call from Miel just reached the Imperial Palace and sent the court into frantic scramble. The University of Gamia has just informed us that they've been working on a secretive project that is nearing completion. The project is concerned with offering life support and indeed revitalization for the severely ill due to the massive power requirements. The project has not managed to finish clinical stage, and only the Emperor's critical condition has made the researchers offer their aid. The suggestion is extraordinary and absurd almost, but they are offering to attempt putting His Majesty into the device they have developed and empower it with all the magic that the Empire can spare. If their calculations are correct, then His Majesty may well recover from his long-standing illness. There's no way of knowing what the side effects of will be. Their experiments thus far have been limited to rodents and the like, but as His Majesty is fading fast, maybe it should be considered. Even if there's a sliver of a chance, we must do it. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. An explosion had rocked the palace and a scream had echoed across the entire city. Every eye in Griffinhelm had turned to stare towards the Imperial might. Confusion and shock had been the first responses as the thick, billowing fog spewed forth from it, and it to slowly began to engulf the entire city. Air raid sirens had begun to wall, accompanied by clanging of metal on metal, as the sight of the wheezing, blood-choking griffs that stumbled out of it delivered the next response: panic. Chaos followed, and griffs fled the panic away from the deathly mist that had swallowed the palace and threatened to engulf the entire city. Hundreds of thousands ran, tens of thousands died, and the evening began to fall. The entire city was blanketed in gas and death. To make it worse, attempts to fly over the city ended in failure as the Imperial Palace radiates with an ominous light like a great terrible eye in the darkness covering the Imperial city. No creature knows what's going on, but the Imperial Guard are donning protective gear and are desperately trying to re-enter the city. Their gas masks offer only meager protection, but though they choke and die one after one, any attempts to call them off have been ignored or indeed greeted with active hostility from the diamond dogs of the guard. Yet for the rest, the Empire, there is only chaos as the heart of Griffonia has been torn out, leaving the body slowly die. This wasn't supposed to happen. Emperor did. With the Emperor's condition deteriorating, scientists from Gamia University have offered to attempt to stabilize him using their new project, Project Crystalflarn. This was meant to magically give the Emperor the vitality the return from the brink. Yet instead it has created chaos, and it appears that though the device overheated from in a magical toxic fog descended on Griffinheim, blanketing toxic gas. The Imperial Guard is trying to reach the palace through the fog, but no Griff knows what's going on. God's above what's going on. In the fracturing. With the near complete loss of the Imperial government, the Empire's constituent parts are breaking away one after another. There is barely even enough of a state to put up the pretense of a government. And when the imperial claw no longer provides guidance, the nations of the Herzland have begun to find it themselves. All that is the region of Griffinheim, itself a city covered in gas and a countryside flooded with refugees. Is this the end of the empire? Oh, Warhammer 40k just happened. Bro, no, he's the Emperor of Griffinkind. All in the cause of the loyal. Not all is lost, for there are those who stayed true to the Imperium. There remains those that want to fight against the chaos, and those that have stayed pure despite the creeping taint. These brave and true have kept fires of the Imperium lit, and they will define this new age. The mad servant of Gamia, Bulzar, Bulzar, Bulzar Bolzen. You were aware of what would come to pass when I was put into this device, were you not? The Emperor asked the old scientist that kneeled before him. The wide-eyed old Griff had been tracked down to the basement in Gamia, where he had been hiding, and dragged before the Emperor. And yet, unlike all others that had come before, he was not struck mute, but instead only cackling like a mad Griff. It came to me in a dream. I spent years stumbling in the dark, and yet insight came to me. The gods granted me insight into the machine, and I saw how to make you what you are today. He stared up at the Emperor in manic glee, raising his claws and pleading towards him. But my Emperor, I offer you more than this. Give me only a chance to serve, and I shall make your forces the greatest in Griftonia, nay, the world. I will sheath your warriors in armor unlike any other, and I will arm them with weapons to break all that stand before them. You, the son of the Empire, we have 1,000 brightly shining stars surrounding you. Just give me the tools, and I shall conquer everything you could imagine, and make every machine in Herzland sing your praises. So be it, in the name of the Arx Reactor Dominus, and in your claws the Imperium's technology of war shall be reborn. Rise, Arcturus Dominus Balzar Bolzen, and tell me what you need. The machines sing the Emperor's praises. I'm like really tired right now, so I'm putting effort in reading aloud so you people can hear. Sabotage. A deafening explosion woke many of the sleeping citizens of the Empires last night, sending out a shockwave that shattered windows for miles around. Our patrols did manage to apprehend one of the culprits as they fled the site, but his fellow saboteurs were able to break him free before we completed our interrogation. Even still, we had enough time to get an employer out of the saboteur. The attack was organized by the Strawberry Duchy. Miraculously, there were no deaths, but one of our factories has suffered heavy damage. Nonetheless, we cannot allow these trespasses against our authority go unpunished. Strawberry Duchy will pay for this. Magna Purgiato. The masks are torn off the griffins of Herzland, and countless have found out to be self-serving wretches, loyal only out of convenience. It will be drawn out and it will be painful, but the ranks of our armed forces and society must be purged of treason, no matter the cost. minus 90 recruitable population and organization division speed. Not good, but we get 25% increase on research speed, construction speed, and 15 plus to stability, and a 0.45 political power gain. So compared to what we have now, it'd be good. There's the civil war over here between reformers, literal knights, and socialists. Red Flood. To most, Belzar Bolson was a mad griff. He had spent To most, Bulzar Bolson was a mad griff. He had spent many years hidden away in his laboratory after his experiments had proven too much for even Gamia. It had been as an act of grace towards him what most thought was a dying old mad griff that had only allowed him to carry out the Castron project when it had proven successful. However, everything changed. Now his deranged inventions were actually proving themselves, and his title of Archrector Dominus has overwritten even the Rector Magnificus. Shuffling back and forth in front of the table, the Archrector watched as his chemicals worked on the griff upon it. The narrow-minded fools behind him had whined and complained, but the Emperor's word was with him, and he had gotten his way at last. Results could not be more obvious than he had thought. As he saw the test subject slowly awake, blinking as he sat up, his body had transformed, being much greater in size than it was before. Slabs of muscles covered him, and he rose and towered up almost a meter, almost half. As he as he rose, oh God! And as he rose up, he towered almost half a me, half, and as he rose, he towered half a meter above even the tallest of the scientists. Arm him! Arm him! Metzar ordered. His assistants came up, carrying armor that had been prepared exactly according to his specifications, and began to arm the knight. It all passed almost in reverent silence, like a sacred ritual when they were done. The knight in front of them stood in armor unlike any seen before, of thick ceramic and steel plates, wholly sealed by in resistance to any any regular soldier could unleash upon them. Lastly, he was given his weapon, a short machine gun designed to fire rounds that no regular griff could handle, and yet he wielded it with speed and agility. As the Emperor is our son, you are the countless stars sharing the sky with him, Balthazar told his magnificent creation. He looked out through the chamber, watching the hundreds of knights that lay in a row, watching the hundreds of knights that lay in a row upon row throughout the chamber, all of them waking up. Welcome to your destiny, this first Star Knights. We got Star Knights. The thing is, nope, we're changing that to Bolzengre. I don't know how to pronounce German words. I'm gonna need German expert. I probably find that. I know a German. Hell, I could probably do that. Nothing as wretched or as hated as a traitor. What is your purpose here, General? The Archrichter asked Ferdinand Dunclaw came striding into the great laboratory, preoccupied with his experiments. He nevertheless noticed the general from in the corner of his eye. "You are proving yourselves day by day, Archrector," Ferdinand told him from a dingy basement in Gamia, where they were hiding you away because you had tincture but had managed to alienate everyone else. To this, the gods really favored the bold, do they not? There is only one God, and he sits upon the crystal throne. There is only one God, there is only one God, and he sits upon the crystal throne. I did my part. You should be out there doing yours. Why are you here? There is only one God. God, is there? Dunclaw asked as he approached him, dragging his claws along the table. A brave statement. His power is not that absolute yet, is it? And, and he only is because of your technology. Have you made a god? And who gave you the right to choose? What are you yet? Balthazar was stopped from replying with Don Claude's knife bit deep into his chest. The frail old Griff grabbed his assailant's claw, trying to pry the knife out of himself with no avail. I've spent decades of my life serving that wretched, only for him to be reanimated by your sorcery, Don Claude hissed. And now he only has the gall to deny me your enhancements. He shoved the old archreactor back, making him crash into one of the tables and drop limply into the ground. I'm done dancing to that corpse's tune. If there is only one God, it will be one of my choosing. Don Claude turned to the table to begin rummaging around it. It all lay scattered in piles around the table, and yet the archreactor had been fastidious about his notes. Lifting the documents from the table, Don Claude chuckled to himself, turning around as he walked past the now still Balthazar and the passed-by Star Knights that had been waiting him outside, nodding for them to follow him. We're heading out to Cloudberry. That removes him from our thing. I'm gonna dismantle the expect because it serves really no purpose. The Dawn-Claw heresy. The Imperium has proven itself rotten to the core. Not enough that supposedly the loyal nobles of Herzland took the first chance to declare independence. Not enough that the temples have proved themselves committed to their own power and all that committed to their own power and all and that all their oaths count for nothing. Treason has crept the very heart of the resurgent Imperium, and the great archreactor Dominus Bizarre Bolzen was nearly killed. He was assaulted in his laboratory and stabbed almost to death by General Ferdinand Donclaw, who absconded with not only the formulas for the Star Knights and enhancements and the blueprints for their weapons, but several hundred Star Knights as well. These vile traitors have fled north to the Republicans and have seized control of the region, as if to spit in the Emperor's face. As to spit in the Emperor's face. They are proudly referring to themselves as the Dawn-Claw heresy and proclaim to be the mar to Emperor's divinity. The Republicans, terrified of the reawakened Emperor, has fallen in line behind Ferdinand Dunkla alongside the countless Herdslanders, traitors, who would throw in their lot with this heretic, then face the Emperor's justice of all sacrilege. We have seen nothing comes close. Of all sacrilege that we have seen, nothing comes close to this treasonous general and his blatant heresies. The only reaction to treachery is vengeance. And now you got Don Cloud heresy up here. Everyone just hates me. And the scientific faith. The singular genius Balthasar Bolzan has always been an outcast, and yet he had proven himself beyond scientist or scholar of the Imperium could produce. He will only show the way of thinking that will give the Imperium the invaders that it needs. Now we go from a modest literacy down to limited literacy, which I guess we get more benefits from people not being able to read. Of things that have never happened. As an interesting book was published today, of things that never happened by Barry Slurtail. It follows the life of a character simply known as Robson, a Republican terrorist who had been ordered by his supervisors to assassinate the Wingardium guard Glomto. His attempts failed, however, which changes the course of history. The Empire never falls apart, and the revolution of 978 never happens. As Grifdonia prospers, Rossin begins to question his Republican values and eventually becomes a loyal supporter of the Empire. While the premise of the story is rather simple, the writer, focusing more on the character of Robson, believes his beliefs than the actual plot of the story, and some critics have even pointed out at times it feels like if the character and the writer are the same person. Nevertheless, the book has been generally warmly received by both commoners and nobles alike. Robson, you say? Where have I heard that name before? The next generation of knights. Noble Griffin knights have served the Empire thus far, but now it's time for a new age, a new generation of heavily armed and armored knights. They shall become a beacon of inspiration to other troops and a force to be reckoned with in their own right. Elite force for a new Imperium. Get bolts and guerreros and Star Knight armor. We'll get 1,000 units of both. It's quicker than we're producing it right now. Yeah. Sabotage. So, get to hit the gun with more terrorism. Star Knight's defense. Oh, yeah. This is better. So, Star Knight specialization. The new Knight Force will be. The new Knight. Okay, cut this out. The new Knight Force will be best utilized as an offensive juggernaut, a powered fist which might pierce even the most resilient barrier. Their appearance on the battlefield will be enough to cause the enemy to waver and crumble, and if their withering fire and power was not already sufficient. In the Cult of the Machine, Yale is being recast, slowly transformed by the teachings of Archrector Dominus. Our learned Griffs had always had the knowledge, yet it is now tempered in unwavering devotion and fanatical zeal. Science and development is no longer merely calling, but a sacred act. The Imperial core must come first. The manufacturia and the machines that keep the Empire running must come from here. All else shall come second. For if the Empire falls, all will fall. Meanwhile, in another timeline, the door to the throne room of the Castle of Friendship burst open, revealing a disheveled-looking purple unicorn covered in loose scrolls and dust. Sorry, I was just trying to find more information about, well, where My Little Pony fanfiction in HOI4 mod. Holy shit. Red Tea waved the hood, alleviate Twilight's panicked demeanor. Oh, don't fret, my dear. I'm sure you'll find about where the friendship map wants us to go. Concern it, I don't know how any of them sound, because I'm a dude. I'm not a little girl. Why would I watch My Little Pony? Don't that map know that this is a lousy time for friendship problem? Grumbled Applejack as she observed all six the gathered ponies' cutie marks hovering over what was clearly not a map of equines, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but rather an unfamiliar golden brown world. It looks scary, murmured Fluttershy. Pinkie Pie, on the other hand, could not take her eyes off the slowly spinning globe. The twilight. Is this gonna be like the place where the things that happened? Pinkie, you're a genius, interrupted Twilight, causing Pinkie to grin widely. If I can readjust the spell matrix for the portal mirror, I think we can get us to the place where this friendship problem is. Twilight removed the scrolls from herself and ignited her horn, humming as her magical aura encompassed the enchanted map. Then her eyes suddenly lit up. Hey, I think I figured out something. Yeah, I think I figured out where the map wants us to go. Oh yeah, said the Rainbow Dash as, as she squinted her eyes, trying to make out any details of the odd-looking planet hovering over the map. Twilight nodded and addressed all of her friends. We need to solve the friendship problem in a world called Holy Terra. Okay, yeah, I'll do that in like couple videos. Cover the sky. It is decreed that there be a rapid deployment of aerial assets by this mighty Imperium might be protected from the sky. Firstly, this requires aerial craft and the means which to produce them. No more coins from Skyfall. Today, unlike the previous years, the Imperial former Foreign Affairs Minister didn't receive any letter from Skyfall, at least none containing any coins. It seemed like the demise of Chancellor Guildchard. The new leader Skyfall had little interest in pursuing his particular form of humor. That joke shall not be missed. To blanket the realm, the new militarium, oh, the new militarium requires new weapons, as the old equipment laying around is grossly unsuited to the task. Master smiths and artisans have levied to lend their strength in designing and manufacturing a new wave of equipment that will suit the Imperium's needs. Third. Alright, yeah, sorry, I had to cut that out. My dog was outside my window and I didn't know what it was. Funny game. Sturgeon Division and purposely misspell it. These are just gonna be shock troops. Steer the armories with a great focus now being placed upon the arms and their armaments. We must serve that every able-bodied griff lends their claws in the mill factories. Labor is not optional, as a great deal of space can be cleared into rollings for new machine mills and smithies. Unto itself, they have to learn to do with less. Nothing can impede the battle against chaos and disorder. Pleasantries and the comforts that our citizens have gotten used to must be done away with, and their humbled existence will find purpose. Yeah, maybe we should make use of the funny anti-Austrian division. The finest soldiers of the Imperium. The Imperium shall not be shielded by words and diplomacy, but the iron claws of Griffinkind's finest warriors. Not the imperial military, but the implacable Star Knights will contend with all who dare threaten it. The Star Knights, 1,000 chosen knights and nobles and heroes who have proved themselves loyal even in the time of crisis, have been summoned. They have undergone every experiment the Arch-Reactor Dominus could subject them to. The Arch-Reactor had defied every convention, violated even firmly held belief in both meteorology and enchantment. His acts upon the bodies of these chosen warriors had left them unrecognizable in the wake of the experiments. The new weapons and the Emperor's blessing stood something more than what had been before. They would be the Empire's finest, and these Griffs who had gave themselves to him. Like clay they have been molded to the furnace of war, and would be forged. They were iron in will and sturdy sinew. In great armor they were clad with the mightiest weapons, and they were armed. They would be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness would blight them. They had such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe would best them in battle. They would be the Imperium's bulwark against terror. They were the defenders of Griffinkind. They were the Empire's Star Knights, and they will know no fear. All the sons of the Imperium, those who have remained true, despite all that had come to pass, shall be recognized for it. For those whom faith is everything, the Emperor is a mighty shield, and their example shall instruct their faithless kin. More terrorism from the Strawberry Duchy. You know, I think we just blow them to hell at this point. Marshal the troops. The Imperium was founded on brave and the loyal, who would rush the Emperor's banner in these times of need. Though much of it is corrupted, the seeds of loyalty still wait in the tainted soil. As we cleanse the land, they will germinate. Rotterdam has fallen. The treasonous Ferdinand Claw has struck from the north and managed to capture the port city of Rotterdam. When news reached us from the city, speak of chaos and death. In the spacious attack has proven that the threat to the north is still much greater than it was before. Enjoy your victories while you can, traitors. Make them suffer. There are technicians in the Imperium who are willing to work for little pay and will follow work very effectively. Maybe they have a few bright ideas on how to work on traitors. Find the traitors. It does not matter what pits they have scurried off to. It does not matter what pits they have scurried off into. Those who have fled the Empire have Those who have fled the Empire the first chance they have got will be found. They will be dragged back to Griffinheim, and they shall answer for their actions. Get the confessions. We know they are guilty. They will not admit it, but they will confess. The death of the temples. There, through the revival of the Empire on the Christar throne, he left the Empire shaken and fraying. Is left the temples decapitated, having called his peers to Griffinheim on the eve of the Emperor's placement on the throne. Akron Erios VII lies dead alongside Actron Praetorius and Actron Iron. In one sudden swoop, the religious leadership of the empire has been annihilated. Through prelates, the rushing force to try to reinstate the temple's leadership. Through the chaos, herdsland was left to make their efforts hollow. Worse than that, as the emperor is restoring order, many of these prelates have reasserted their independence from the imperial authority. In response, the emperor has ordered all prelates of Hertzland to be brought before him, behind locked doors with bronze custodians standing guard. He has spoken with them. He is telling them of what he saw in the mist. The exact words that passed between them are unknown yet. Yet, in its wake, several prelates have bowed their head, and the three temples are now steadily being merged under him into one greater organization. The temporal spiritual authority now both lies in the hands of the emperor, and the bickering clergy will never undermine the unity of the imperium. And they dissented no more. Hearts and minds. The empire is not unreasonable, and those who come before him or his voice generally penitent will earn their place once more. Those who come before him with false plans or hidden agendas will pay. The emperor knows their hearts and minds, and he will judge them. The fate of the unworthy. Weakness is not treason per se, but failure to carry out one's duty is to betray one's oaths all the same. The weak serve only one purpose for us, a warning example to others. In the lands of the disloyal, below our claws, in the streets and houses, the whispers of treason and deceit flourish. Even after the mist, they still continue. They will be found, and they will be disposed of, and they will be disposed of it in a fitting manner, as befits those vermin. Gonna add more stern lights into our into our funny gangster John division. A pure Griffonian military. Our forces serve one purpose, being an extension of the Emperor's will. There can be no doubt and no hesitation about this, and outside interests and forces have no play here. a clean Imperium. The Imperium has been cleansed of subversives and traitorous elements, though there are still countless traitors out there beyond the city. At least there is now a single solitary pure core in the heart of the herdsland. Common stated the appearance of this bright comet in the night sky has caused panic amongst the griffins of our nation. Some believe this comet is an omen of the end of the world, or some penalty for our deeds that will come soon. Why do I have so many stupid griffins in my nation? There is only the Emperor. In the wake of the Emperor's return, nobody had been more relieved than Prince Grover VI. Therefore, though he had been evacuated as the fog struck the capital, in taking to the Strawberry Duchy, he has left his mark on the young boy. Night after night he tossed and turned in his dreams, haunted by visions of bright, blinding light. As the fog in the Emperor's survival was confirmed, the nightmares, but do they toll, they have extracted from the boy didn't retrieve from the Duchy of the Bronze Custodians. He was escorted into the throne room towards his father. The little chick looked in worry and fear at the sight, shying away from the bright light to the Emperor's eyes. Have you seen it too, my child? The Emperor's voice was as powerful as it was before, yet soothing in no way no one else had experienced. Blood spoke to blood. We know your role. Come. He beckoned his son, he beckoned his son, who had hesitantly came up towards him. With some effort, clambered up to the seat with him, embracing his father, who reciprocated. The little prince closed his eyes tightly as the Emperor looked down at him. A single golden teardrop fell from the Emperor's eyes, landing on his son before the light spread from it across the child's entire frame. For a few seconds it looked like the child glowed like the sun in his father's claws. In the next he was gone. Slowly lowering his claws back to rest, the Emperor slowly sat up straight, unmoving and unflinching. He is where he must be. A loyal Imperium. Too long the Imperium was divided in its loyalty, squabbling the nobles and archons have broken it apart in due time. Now there is only the Emperor, and to the common griff there's no greater purpose than to fight and die for him. We shall destroy their weak and puny, non-loyal to the Emperor's divisions. Knowledge is power. The throne room in the palace was filled with a resonating boom, proclaiming a bassy voice as the emperor finished his latest demands for information. A small troop of functionaries scuttled away in quite the hurry, eager to facilitate the request for knowledge. Albrecht Deftplum was one of those eager low-level bureaucrats and information mongers. The griffin darted this way and that, practically driving his own way through the palace to find the administration records that were needed to placate his liege lord. It must be here. I'm sure of it. Maybe here or over there. Albrecht muttered, almost seemingly possessed with a near-divine thirst to find the knowledge he knew somewhere in the pile of records in this particular annex. A number of scrolls were nearly thrown out of the way. Albrecht scrabbled, driven with zeal to find which had been requested. What irked him more was that he knew where the scrolls were, but how could he lay a claw on them right at this moment, right at the time when they were needed? Of course not. That was the most infuriating part. Why was it always the case that the things one wanted to find or read were the most out of the way place? Finally, after what felt like a lesser eternity, Albrecht saw the coded scroll markers that indicated he found the document series he needed. With a small caw of exfoliation, he snatched the small bundle of scrolls and peered through one or two in order to confirm these were correct. Yes. Infrastructural reports, familial records. Yes. Infrastructural report, familiar records of the Imperium in the recent decades, technical records for the standard equipment, and even diplomatic records from meetings with the other Reichspakt states. Intriguing still that the Emperor had demanded hurriedly. The Griff burst back out of the archives into the throne room. Pausing for just a moment outside the doors, he patted his head and tried to make himself look presentable. And after wiping off a little sweat, he bowed his head in a supplicatory manner to enter and approach his liege. Guard it well. We're gonna make a buffer state puppet here, and we're gonna get resource rights and war reparations. We're gonna take state there. Okay, and we're gonna take that, and that's where we're gonna end it off for now. Now that we have these regions up here and down here merged into our Imperium. And whoever's watching this, just remember, stay alright. Alright? Bye bye.